check. And a 1, 2, 1, 2. All right, hit that like, everybody. We're getting started in a minute. Almost there. Very exciting. Well, hello there. Good morning and happy Friday-ish. Yeah, something along those lines. I guess if you're watching this in another time zone, in another country, we are indeed mega worldwide after all. Hit the like, share the show. Good morning. It's just you and me for the first hour. I hope you can put up with that. And then, and yes, I do have very big hair this morning. I think it's the amount of moisture in the air in Los Angeles versus Las Vegas. That's my theory, and I'm sticking to it. But I'm enjoying it, and it's very metal ready for when I go down to Nam after the show today. And then Frangela is going to be joining us in the second hour, which is fantastic, and just part of our secret meetings to try and convince Stephanie to go back out on the road this year, especially for the midterms with the Sexy Liberal Tour or some variation thereof, and therefore. And what's shaking? First of all, let's start the day with a little bit of an AMA. And I've got a couple of videos to show you. I know we don't normally do videos in the morning, but this is kind of crucial to what's going on. And I also want to share something with you. Let's see if it actually works in this regard. I'll just try it this way. Allow. And see if this works. Good morning. Well, I'm on my show live, and I thought maybe you would be a great choice to give us a. Oops, maybe is there no sound? Hold on one second. I've got to move you over to the comms window. Maybe that's what does it. I'm trying to figure out how to get your audio onto my. Let's add this and we'll do. Nope, that's not how you do it. This is how we do it. Oh, I will do a share screen on here. And that'll do share screen, screen share thing. There it is. This little thing right here. And then that's pretty. And then we'll change it to, wait for it. Let's see, the current application. It should throw in system sounds or whatever. Hello, check. Nope, there's not a current application anyways. This is me working on this as we fly, as we work. Let's see. And we'll make it a circle because we don't care. Well, that's kind of cute. And let's see. I need. Why wouldn't that have the sound of the system sounds in here? It's very strange. Oh, I think I'm kind of all up on all of the above. Now I think I can get it working. I just need to create another duplicate of this. I thought you could give us a rundown of how Davos went and the WEF in terms of all the conversations that were happening around AI. Like a little summary of what stood out. I think she's hearing me. Are you hearing me? Maybe I have to be in this window. There you go. Yeah, what I'm asking you. Oh, the microphone is wrong for this. Let's see. Maybe that's what it is. When I switch microphones, it doesn't allow me. That's how they get you every single time. Son of a bada hada. Oh, I know what I'll do. I go back to chat. We're gonna work on this. I want to try to make this happen, chat, if I can. That I want AI to summarize. I want because I may bring up even our old friend Pi. We haven't heard from in a long time. But I've got to in this. I've got to choose. There you go, and change my audio input. I guess input. That's why. Check 1, check 2, check 2, check 3, check 4. There we go. Setting it to that, it just doesn't have any audio going to it, poor thing. So I don't know how it expects to. Okay, quit system settings. Now this should be better, I would think, if I reload. Let's see. Allow there. And reload the page, perhaps, and then that maybe they pick a different one. Hello, can you hear me? Oh, well, the agenda was just getting your voice available. The question I was asking you that you couldn't hear me ask for whatever reason was, could you summarize the AI story and talking points at Davos at the WEF, kind of the big news that was made And by the way, I don't include in that any of the stupid, arguably ridiculously provocative stuff that Elon Musk said. Let's see. Oh, you're writing it out now? Hold on. Yeah, I don't hear any audio either. Okay, so anyways, these are the things. The young will suffer most is this article. There you go. Open that one. Well, Elon Musk was just stupid about things, and um, the Google. I gotta say the Microsoft guy was the biggest dud of the leaders. Musk was nuts. The Microsoft guy was a dud, but the Anthropic guy probably had the most worthwhile thing to say. And according to this, it says, it sounds like you've got the highlights dialed in. Anthropic angle is usually grounded in responsible AI, so that tracks. Exactly. I'm going to drop out of that until I can figure out a way to get the audio in there smoothly. And I'll just leave this on the thing. I guess it only works when I'm in the comms window, but I wanted to create, I know what I'll do. I got an idea. Hang on. This will work. Trust me on this one. I know I've disappointed you before, but please just think of it this way. All right, we'll go down to here. Oh, where are we? Hit this big guy right here. And then we take this window and we duplicate it, I think. Yeah, there we go. And then we take this, because it'll be the same. And then we move this out of the way. And then we take this and we'll make it a circle or something stupid just to make it, well, that's fun. Make it teensy tiny. Move me over here. There you go. And then I think I could put the chat in here with me as well. Why isn't that the circle now? What are you doing? Oh, I know, because I reshaped it. That's why. Because it's silly. Yeah, don't you guys enjoy watching me make the show live every single time? It's a good time. Function key this way. There we go. Yeah, there you go. So it's all shrunk down that way. Nope. And nope. There we go. And then I'll just move this over here. Whatever, just put a picture in it at some point. It's funny, but I don't even know that I need an image in it. But this is ChatGPT in the raw. Whoops, wrong window. And take this out. There you go. And then we'll shrink it down. Whee, like that, because it doesn't really matter all that much. And we'll move over here, you silly thing. There you go. And then I'm going to add the chat in so you guys can talk with me while this is happening. We're having a good time now. You guys were worried. All right. Let's see. Let's go to the chat restream embed. There we go. And I'll call it chat so we don't get confused later. Add widget overlay. And there you guys are. Fantastic. Look, I'm in the conversation. You're in the conversation. What could possibly go wrong? And we'll just make it all big and stuff. Yes, that's right. I'm raw dogging the show this morning. Simmer down. How can we get the rest of our lives off? I'm tired. Yeah, well, you're going to really enjoy it when Trump falls down a flight of stairs. You're going to try to not like it because you're a good person, but it's going to come over you, I'm sorry to say. You're going to disappoint yourself that day. And go, why? I know I'm... but you really are. I read that Copilot has only 1.2% chatbot users and Gemini has 18 to 24. Yeah, there's a reason for that, and a lot of it's the tools. I'll show you some of those today. Let me see if I can take this guy, and I'll actually make it... Whoops. I'll make it a little bigger. Hold on. I gotta lock this overlay because it's annoying me. There you go. You guys are fine. And I'll lock my overlay because I'm moving around too much there. And I can move this guy. Like that. Let me do this. And look at my fade on this. This sucks. Hold on. Fade level up. There you go. It's a little better. The problem is my hair and the drop off in light. It's the same. Pitiful green screen. When are they going to fix that part? Okay. So, this is just Hal stalling until Frangela gets here. That's exactly right. No, I actually am in kind of in a hurry about some of this stuff, but let me show you, get this out of there. I had mentioned, a while back that one of the things that's going to be different about this time in terms of, the very nature of this technology entering into our workforce is that this is going to be the first time where old people are benefited by technology in a way that, like young people have previously been the winners, right? Previously, like, it's always been like, well, young people have a lot of experience with technology and therefore they are, they adapt well. And I made this too big. Let's scroll this in, see, so we can fit more of you. There you go, into that side of it. And this is a very different version of previous technology. Even in the case of like the Luddites attacking factories in the early 19th century, or certainly when computers first came into the workplace. And you had college kids using them, but all the people who were working in the companies just didn't know how to use them yet. So this is, it was Christina Georgieva says, research suggests 60% of jobs in advanced economies will be affected, with many entry-level roles wiped out. And that's where your youngins go. I have been saying this for a while, and it's frustrating to me when these dipshits can't catch up. I feel like we're getting into oil glut territory. Hold on. And I also think that this is, I'm very old still. There you go. At least want to be able to reach out a little bit. So we expect over the next years, and this is the way they get out of it, is in advanced economies, 60% of jobs will be affected by AI. And again, affected doesn't mean removed. And that's one of the problems with the way they're talking about this shit. Either enhanced or eliminated. There's a huge difference. Can I just say, children's, the people's, the ladies and gentlemen's, would you say that there is a difference between when something is enhanced and when something is eliminated that is drastically and specifically different? You have a choice. You can have all your Christmas gifts enhanced, or you can have them eliminated. Does that sound like a coin flip to you? Affected is not the same, like, it's like they're saying affected just to scare the shit out of you, right? And then eliminated or transformed. 40% globally. This is like a tsunami hitting the labor market. Okay, why 40% globally? Because that's the equivalent of 60% of the labor market in the United States. Because there's a lot more manual labor out there in the rest of the world than there is here. If you account for, farming and agriculture and mining and all that other stuff in Africa, Southeast Asia, and whatnot. So that it's almost the same number. 40% globally is 60% of people in the United States as far as their jobs. Those are the same jobs. She suggests that in advanced economies, 1 in 10 jobs had already been enhanced by AI, tending to boost those workers' pay with knock-on benefits for the company. I think there could be changes, and from these changes could be very good, could be absolutely very bad. In some cases, it will bring you lunch, give you a hand job, and do all your typing and filing, and in another will kill you. So it's really going to affect everyone equally. By contrast, Georgieva warned that AI would wipe out many roles traditionally taken up by younger workers. Tasks that are eliminating are usually entry-level jobs to at present. So younger people searching for a job find harder to get a good placement. This woman is speaking at Davos, and bless her heart, I'm sure she's completely qualified to, but this is, you can tell how fundamentally ignorant they are of this technology and are just parroting what they've heard from the people around. I'm sorry, I hope I don't wake up your cat with my weird talky lady voice. They're taking our gerbs, especially the ones you don't want or could make you lose a finger. Here's her greatest fear. Her greatest fear is that AI was insufficiently regulated. This is a big European thing right now. This is moving us so fast, yet we don't know how to make it safe. We don't know how to make it inclusive. Wake up. AI is for real, and it is transforming our world faster than we are getting ahead of it. Okay, couple things. One is, you'll never get ahead of it. You're not going to get ahead of it. No one got ahead of the industrial age. You're not going to, it's not even a point. As far as it being inclusive, I don't even think she knows what that means. The tools are available to everyone. And there's no such thing as white facts and black facts. So if it's a tool, it's like, when are we going to make hammers more inclusive? Right? That's the same thing. Like, because we know they're really built for American hands, not Southeast Asian hands. And you're like, well, what if you could tell it fitted to my hand and it changed shape so it exactly fit your hand? Well, then I guess we're fine. Well, that's exactly what AI is. So this whole conversation about it, except for the safety aspect of it, which is true of any technology, is ridiculous and absurd. Now, you guys know, I'm a techno optimist. But I'm an optimist in all categories, so that shouldn't come as any surprise. And so a lot of this, it was either a back and forth between people completely poo-pooing the safety aspect of it or panicking. From what I saw, there didn't seem to be much in the middle. Many delegates were also keen to highlight the risks and benefits of AI. Christy Hoffman, General Secretary of the UNI Global Union, told The Guardian, it's just a basic premise that the point of AI on the business side is to increase productivity, therefore lower costs, which will be cutting jobs. No. I think that has to do with her opinion about the lack of productivity caused by human beings. This is not at all, it doesn't have to cut jobs. There are so many companies that could never expand to the level of some of the giant companies that are out there because they can't afford the employees. They never would be able to. And even if they could afford them, there aren't enough people, period, to do those jobs. And they'll certainly take a job with the company with the longer track record that's been around and can guarantee them, a few years out than some startup that's never going to, that hasn't proven itself yet. So startups there's so many good ideas and so many good businesses that people wanted to start that genuinely created something worthwhile and could benefit people that never got a chance to get off the ground because they could never get there. And somebody's saying they're already cutting jobs out. No. But statistically speaking, it's having a less than 1% impact on the jobs that are being cut. The jobs that are being cut are tariff-based. And so it behooves the entire Trump administration to make you guys, and everybody else blame AI as if they're being substituted by AI. Where AI is affecting things is that college graduates are not getting hired, but high school graduates are getting hired faster. Because you'd rather have somebody, slightly younger and not in debt and doesn't expect to work, or might bounce around. I don't know what, like filling in these gaps. They can structurally they can be qualified faster, I guess is what I'm trying to say. They can actually, add value to the company without the degree, without the number of degree, and they can get straight at it. Because you're not any more wise when you're 18, let's say, than you are when you're 22 or 23. Your decisions aren't based on real experience, whether you went to college or high school. you're just either talented at something and you prove you've got a skill. And so a lot of kids are just going straight out of high school into businesses because they know how to use stuff, right? People see Terminator instead of Bicentennial Man. That's exactly right. And there's a reason for that from a European standpoint. You know what? I'm not dismissing genuine concerns about some of these things, and we will address them, namely with DeepSeek and Huawei, which I think are a danger to the world. But there are also things about the early versions, especially of I would say, like, certainly OpenAI and some of the kind of like loose low res Llama, for example, which is the Facebook AI, that are very poorly designed. And of course, Grok, allowing people to do like naked images of children, that kind of stuff. But it's not about the technology itself. It's about the people who run it. And this is the same thing I talk about when I'm telling everybody to fucking vote, because it matters who runs these things. It matters who's in charge. And when you have a hand in that, in terms of democracy, you must exercise it. Because if there's a problem with any of these organizations and how they're carrying themselves out, it is because they're getting orders from the top. And if you participated in getting that person there or helping them get there by not voting, that you bear responsibility. Okay, in the case of these private businesses, especially in the case of like Grok and XAI, we have no control over that. But it is one of the reasons why you don't go on X. Don't use the site, because you're helping him raise money. It's, if you plug that hole, it's money he can use on other stuff. If you add money to it, you're helping him do this stuff. And it's training on what's happening there. So if you're contributing to that hostile Nazi environment, then you're training Grok to be worse. So in the end game of all these different types of, different bots, let's say, and they all grow. There's no Skynet anymore. There's Skynet, there's Starnet, and there's WinNet, and there's FartNet, and there's, GlomNet and I don't know, SharkNet. And they're all competing, and they're all AIs. The one thing about the Terminator thing that I think misses the boat, and kind of was that there would be one, that there would only be one, and it would be a government-based system. This is use Blue Sky. This is by no means indicative of how things work at all, especially when you have a race to do these things. And so, Skynet comes online and just decides to, that humans are the problem because of this misanthropic horseshit nihilism that popped up in sci-fi around the mid-1970s, born out of the population bomb, that that humanity sucks, and we gotta do something about humanity, because they, hold on, let's see, let's see if I can hide this. Do I still get? Wait 1 second. I think so. Where's my audio levels? They hidden somewhere? You rat. Maybe it's down here. I don't know why it would be, but beg your pardon. Sound levels. Where's that guy? There it is. Why are you over there, you silly, silly thing? And now, this year has begun. Please don't ask what else could go wrong. Thanks to the quote, I found Copilot to be severely limited. I agree. There's some issues certainly there, and I've made some stuff with. I've attempted to vibe code, because that's the big thing on it, both on Claude and on OpenAI and Gemini, and I have found them to be frustratingly. Maybe because they're built for coding talk, that it's not as easy to vibe code something just by talking to it as they make it sound like. You have to actually, address it almost from a coding style of talk or a design. Like, you're better off, but then they tell you not to give it too much instruction or it will get confused and walk itself into a corner. I've been working on for a little while a little orb that can float here that's an animation for when I'm doing like when I have AI talk on the show, that it can kind of burp while it's doing it like I think it was called Digit in Tron, or Bit in Tron, the little beeper that would talk, yes, no, whatever, that kind of thing. I want to make one of those that can float around while I'm, so that when I'm talking, we at least have an animation that kind of goes with it, right? And it's not really good. As a matter of fact, let me see if I'll show you this. Yeah, it's in my Google Drive. So let me jump down here, grabbing's the chromes, and, oh, it's still in the derp. I want this. Here we go. Downloads. Oh, but there was one thing. Oh, good man. I hope I'll show you. This is, all right. Let's look at, yeah. Once I open this, I want to show you something, and this will be like a live demo of something. Which would be kind of cool. There we go. And one of the things that has come up is this old Claude Code thing, and that it controls your computer. And this is very new to a lot of the stuff that's going on. I'm going to give you a little demo of it right now. This is, let's see if I can put this in here. And yeah, I don't have that much stuff in my downloads folder, so it's pretty well organized. Let's see if I can, what's something a little more disorganized on this computer? Yeah, I think, I think downloads will do. All right, let me show you something real quick. I'll bring this back up on screen. The screen share guy right here. There you go. So this is my downloads folder on this thing. It's mostly like installers, a few graphics that I've made, and that's it. Okay, it's not a huge mess. I fixed this on my laptop yesterday. I tried this out on my laptop. Okay. If you want a little orbital come forward, then Marco is little Marco, right? So in this particular situation, let me go over to, I think it's this window, is it? Yes. So let's go to Claude, and I think I have to download the Claude. Yeah, the Claude program to do this. Yes, I do. So I do not have that on this computer, so I'm going to download it real quick. This is just me. Let's see. Claude desktop app. The only reason I'm not showing you is because I don't know if it will ask for / show my, let's see. I don't want Claude on desktop. I want the Claude. Download Claude for desktop and mobile. There it is. Mac OS. And then once I start it up and I sign in, Claude has a thing called Cowork on it, and they just made it available to the regular subscription things, as opposed to, it initially was just the $100 version, and I was like, fuck that, because you end up training their betas. You pay $80 a month more to train their betas for them, which I'm not going to do. So I'll open this up. We'll go open our thing here. We'll go to Claude and open it up. And of course, Claude's last name is Balls. We know this. And okay, open this. Yep. And I've got to sign in. So excuse me. Through. Continue. Here it is. And now I'm in. I feel like a hacker in an 80s movie. All right, here we go. So, okay, continue. There we go. So now I can show you this screen again. This little guy right here. Boop. There you go. So this is don't let this app fool you. This is Claude, the thing. And then up here, I think there's a Cowork. You click on that guy. And this is Claude Cowork. And this is their first agentic AI thing that works inside your computer. And I'll show you one of the things was the kind of zing moment, and this is why they think a lot of the changes at work are going to happen a lot faster. And I got about 15 minutes to show you this. All right, and watch this. So, and again, this is not a huge cleanup, obviously. What's up, Boston Brian? I'm going to go down here and go, it says organize files. It gives you some options of what it can do. It can create a file. It can crunch data for you. It can make a prototype of something. It can draft messages and prep for a meeting and stuff like that. And it does a lot. But organize files. Okay. And this is organize or tidy up. And I'll put this here. I'll put my download folder. Actually, I think it gives you an option. Yeah, my downloads folder. There it is. Okay. And then it asks you, can it change files in the download thing? And you have to give it access to your computer, right? Created talking paperclip with eyes. Right. All right. And this will say, help me organize my downloads folder, scan the contents, propose a plan, categorize folders. And then I go, and then only proceed after I have approved this plan. So there's a human in the loop. Allow. There we go. Allow. So I can talk to the thing if I want to. So it is going through there and it goes, I'll help you organize your download folder. Let me scan the contents to understand what we're working with. So it scans your downloads folder. And then it's just doing all this thinking. And I want to show you how this is different. Okay. Propose folder structure. Software installers, images, videos, archives, which are zip files or compressed content, streaming assets, Stinger transitions, because I have a Stinger transition that's in that folder that I downloaded. And then it'll sort what it found in there right now. It's going to sort into that, and you kind of go, that's generally what I'm looking for. Anything with an image file constitutes this. They'll rename some of the image files to generated because they're copied, whatever. And then there's a total of 20 files. It'll take time to organize 2 minutes. So gentlemen, start your engines. And I'll write in here, go for it. And then if we look, see, control this window. Here we go. Let's get out of here. Oh, agree. Go out of here. There you go. So look at this. It's doing it. This is it doing it live. It's creating folders. It's thinking about them. So there's moments where it will think about it. There they go. And it created the streaming assets folder. You can see the one down there with the dash under it. And the software installers. And then the Stinger transitions one. And then there's an archive and an images one. And those two just went into the images. And now it is officially organized. That just happened. Right now. Hal just signed his life away, agree, whatever. Yeah, well, I don't have anything untoward. I would never do this in anything that requires sort of a level of privacy in my life, right? I just don't use computers for that anyways. So it's a lot easier. But in terms of like just organizing your downloads folder, it strictly has to stick with whatever folder it doesn't have permission to work with the other folders and that kind of stuff. It can just use the memories that have memory ability, and to use the menu ability to do that. So, collating, reprogramming, Boston Brian drives like Ace Ventura. I don't doubt it. Satan's terms of service. So AI can clean up all your files. Yes, it can. And let's see, a cure for imposter syndrome. How do you mean, Chris? For people like, I'm very together. I'm not together. It will help me be together. Ask it to make you $1 million. I suppose we could do something along the lines of like, give it, do the whole thing, like give it $500 to invest and tell it to turn it into $1 million. Although if you don't give it better instructions, it might start, dealing drugs. But that was pretty fast. Don't you agree? And you can think of the number of tasks that are available to it. And they go, we'll start a new. Oh, and this is my favorite part. Let me show you this other thing about Claude. So, see this little thing right up here? Hold on, let me close the sidebar. Let me open this one. We'll go back to chat, and we'll close the sidebar. See this little guy right here? It looks like a ghost from Pac-Man. Yeah, yeah, this guy. This right here. If I can I can't. You see him? He's right there. He's like this guy right here. If you click on this thing, it says use incognito, which is their version of a chat with no memory, a secret chat. It will not use what you talk about to train its model. You can talk to it about, I guess, untoward things. That has popped up on almost all of these because of trust issues that people logically, I think, have with all of these. But you can do a secret chat, and you know because it's outlined by a black bar. Now this is fairly common. Exit incognito, and you're back to normal in that regard. And there's a similar thing in, where did I go? I didn't close Safari, did I? Nope. Okay, maybe not. Open this back up. Everything's in a different place here. Okay, so there's the Claude one on this one or whatever. This is ChatGPT, for example. And if I go up here, let's see, start a new chat right there. Up here in the corner, see that? That's turn on temporary chat. Temporary chat says that temporary chats will not appear in your history and memory is turned off. So it won't, while in temporary chat, it won't use or update its memory. Custom instructions will be followed if you have them enabled. So if you have custom instructions like talk to me like I'm a 3-year-old, it will still do that. Which it sounds weirdly gross in the context of a temporary chat, actually. But each one of these has started to do that. Secret chats that are either not trained or are specifically completely cut off from memory, so it doesn't remember what you asked it about and what you talked to it about. And then let me bring up Gemini in here real quick, because Gemini has had the ability to get into your files and work your computer in the app mode for a while. But it wasn't as fluid as the Claude Code thing was. The other thing about Claude Code, and this is the big standout about this thing, about using Claude Code, or Claude Cowork rather, is that Claude Cowork, the ability to do this and use this to do stuff, to control your computer and run it for you and eventually speak to your computer instead of typing to do certain work. It was entirely made by Claude Code. So they basically asked it to create its next gen of iteration. And this I would argue is the biggest thing about this whole thing, is that it did this. Now, in code, I made this little orb thing, and I'll show you that in many ways, and like I said, maybe this is a regular thing that they run into. But let's go back to the regular chat for a split second, and I'm going to show you as I work here a little bit that, get out of here, that go to my Finder, go to my Cloud Drive and my Stream Docs, and I think the orb should be in here, date modified, yesterday, audio, yeah, here we go. I made this thing called an audio reactive cyber orb, this thing, okay, and allow the mic to use this. Now you see this thing, guys? Okay, start audio, and I should be able to, the problem with it is I should be able to choose the audio, so this is what I need to do. I have to go into Loop Deck, yeah, which is what I use for audio routing. Except I don't have it on here. Which is stupid. Anyways, this thing should allow me to, and because I had to make it choose its own specific mic, is that this is the orb, and then I would be able to green screen it in this context to just have the orb floating there. And I know it looks like an ice nipple. I get it. And it has little things that come off of it. It's not receiving audio right now because of how it sort of works in this. And you can change the color of the orb and that stuff. Like I made it so you could do that. And it has you can change the glow around it to a color that you can see. I don't know if you can see the rings very well because it's actually very small. And then there's these little sparkly things that come off of it. And in the process of just making that, I've been tweaking it for a while. And when I hear them talk about you can make software with this thing without any training and all that kind of stuff, it does pulsate slightly, I will have you know, just so it looks like it's statically doing something. There's a reason why if you listen to them, they say it took us a week or a week and a half to do it. Now, I'm going to get ready for Frangela to join us. But I'm going to keep working on this, and eventually for Friday I'm going to, when Rob's not here, I'll be able to make a guest come on there. But I vibe coded this thing up to this iteration so far using Claude. I did a version in Gemini that was equally kind of frustrating. They seem to be missing the same point, so I think it's me. And then, of course, Claude, in this particular is like... make me a like 8-bit video game where a mushroom is being chased by monkeys. I don't know how much more it's going to ask of me to do that one. Sorry, select a folder. Local, whatever. This kind of, okay. Put it in downloads. Here you go. Dink. Trust. And, okay. And by the way, cerebrating. I'll create a simple 8-bit style game where a mushroom is being chased by monkeys. Let me build this as an HTML file with JavaScript. So it's decided that's the best way to create it. And so it will be working on this in the background. Let's see, do it. Musing. It cerebrates and then it muses. Now, and then it's deciphering. It's using words and now it's noodling. Hello. Work on your own monkey game, young man. Now it's clodding, which means it's coding. Okay, and there it is. Users in mushroom game HTML. Allow for this session. There you go. Herding. So it made this in HTML, or it's working on the canvas. Okay. Player's a red mushroom. This is the feature. And then we go, let's see. And I guess it's in my downloads folder. So let's look there now. And let's see, date modified. Oh, it's, sorry, I'm in the wrong one. Downloads, there it is. We'll open this up. There it is. And then I guess I gotta run away. I'm running away from the monkeys are after me. I don't have a way of shooting. Use the arrow keys, the wand to move, avoid the monkeys, survive as long as possible. There, it's Monkey Mushroom Game. I will put the Monkey Mushroom Game on my website and give everybody access to it. I don't know why this is good, but it is. It adds more monkeys over time. And then, ooh. This is actually quite fun. I don't know. There should be a timer. Oh, I get a score for living the song. I have 3 lives, and I've got a score of 22. Oh, I'm dead. I was looking at the score and not paying attention. Oh, look out. Oh, it got me again. And, okay, I can't leave the screen like asteroids. I'm controlling this with the arrows on my keyboard, by the way, for those of you who don't know. This is ridiculous. But that took like 2 seconds. I would have played a game like this on my Mac in the 80s for hours. It looked like turds chasing a pot. I'm sorry, I should blow it up. It should be a little bit bigger. Oh, game over. Play again. 45,000 though. Not bad for a first iteration. Hold on. Here you go. I'll square it down here, and then Frangela will be joining us. I hope they have the right link. Just making sure. I'm gonna copy it and give it to Andrea. Make sure that they've got the right one, just for sure. Sometimes people have an old link in there. Here we go, and we'll play again. Run away! Look, Ma, I'm a game streamer. This would be a new way of doing like Twitch game streaming, which is like create a game, like a game a day, and then play it. Wait a minute. I got killed by a monkey coming in on the side that I didn't even see. What the hell? Oh, I can't leave the left side of the screen either. I get hit. Ow. A combination of arrow. Oh, where's that guy coming from? That was totally cheating. Oh. Is a monkey? The monkey heads are kind of funny. And the mushroom's very basic, but there it is. I know this. Yeah, the CSL just said I'd be coding for 2 weeks on my Commodore 64 trying to make that. I know Kurt Troutwine and I used to make games like this, and it took us like a month. So, anyways, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. My first monkey game. Congratulations, me. And I will eventually. I'll put this on halsparks.com so you can play it. And I'm just going to sacrifice myself because I've got to get ready for our guests. But that's some, that should be some kind of indication of where this is going. And way more than 8 sprites there. Oh yeah, it keeps adding them until it just created the game in such a way that it's adding them. Now the other thing that's possible is I could go add a way to shoot the monkeys with let's see, shoot the monkeys with a banana. Whoops. Or let's see, or a super banana pulse that only works. Whoops, I could type that only works once during a life and is moseying, tinkering. The old banana. Yes. Try the old banana in the tailpipe. Francis shutting down computer and turning on recent links to both. Excellent. Okay, well, I will be ready for them when they get here. But it is making this. It already did it. Or it made a version, now it's doing another version. Spelunking, puttering. It's added it there. Accomplishing. You can see in the in this how it's now ruminating and tinkering. But insofar as oh yeah, here it made another version. There you go. Yeah, mate. I don't know why it's talking like Crocodile Dundee now. There it is. Regular banana shooting is the space key. Super banana is the shift key, and then use the arrows to run around. And we'll go to we'll go to the new mushroom game. Well, hold on. Oh, do I have to download it? Where'd you go? Okay, perfect. You've added it there. Downloads mushroom chase game. Oh, it just replaced the file with a new one. Okay, cool. How very efficient. I mean, I guess it just cleaned up my folder. So whoop, go. Well, it never misses. that's pretty useful. Bink. That's no fun. I feel like you should only have maybe make it one shot. Oh, I died even with all that stuff. And then the super pulse, I'm going to wait until they're all surrounding me and see what the super banana pulse looks like. We shall see. Here it comes. Oh, it didn't work. The shift didn't work. The shift didn't. Oh! Well, and then Claude was like, "Can I help you again?" It's because it thought it was talking, like it turned itself on and it used its own thing. That was sad. The Super Pulse, it says Super Pulse ready, and the Super Pulse did not work. Very disappointed. It's going to take some more tinkering, but this is why it takes a little while to get this stuff working. CSL, how CSL is typing. I'm looking at the staff chat. I did. I got the shift. Ah, there we go. There's Francis in the background. Hey, hold on one second. Let me make sure I'm guest ready for this next one. We'll go to preview and we'll go to here, and then we'll take this off and we'll put this, and we're gonna try this. We'll put in Francis and then we'll. There she is, and then I'm gonna leave the other spot blank for our. Is Francis? Is Angela coming on as well? I hope so. Yep. Okay, hold on one second. I can't hear you yet because you're in preview mode. You're in the green room. So I'll take you, hold on, I'm going to remove you from the green room. And now we can hear you anyways. And then I'll pop you in. Heck, I feel like I just put you in as a single guest until she gets here. Because if she's going to be all busy and stuff. What's happening? All right, that happens all the time. Okay, let me kill this real quick. And then we'll go to here. And we'll bring her in. Because Francis, I got to tell you. Okay, let me bring her in right now. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Francis.
Hey!
Hi! Look at you. Hi.
I'm so happy to be here.
I know. I'm so happy to have you on. So for people that don't know, there are very few trackable kismet moments in life where you're just like, okay, this shows something is in the universe that's changing the roads and the street lights to make you go a different direction and all this kind of stuff. Because many people, the Steph heads and everybody, I think they first became aware of you and Angela when you guys started filling in or doing stuff on Steph's show. And I was filling in and doing stuff on Steph's show for a while. And, long before Sexy Liberal existed. And tell everybody where you and I first met.
I know the wonderful, incredible Hal Sparks from childhood almost. We met when I think I was 15 years old at Second City in Chicago. We were both in the Second City high school group. And it was new. That was the thing. That was the first time they let kids in that place.
Right. And there was a lot of walking around. You could see why that was not necessarily something that they would sign off on up to that point, because it was a very adult environment. Let's just say. Can you hear me? Okay. Did you get an audio issue?
Yes. Yeah. Here's the thing that was so incredible. I don't know if you remember, but we used to in an old porn theater called the Hudson.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that's the place in the back. Yeah. No pun intended.
And the seats were crusty and crunchy. Remember that? And I was like, and I didn't know that.
So yes, I think I was oblivious. Yeah. I was just like, this place is amazing. I'm so happy to be home.
The seats are really crusty. They're really crusty. It's really weird.
Yeah.
I didn't know. But I met Hal, and we took classes. And let me tell you something about Hal Sparks. Hal Sparks has always been Hal Sparks, y'all. Okay?
It's true. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He was a child, and he was like, I ain't got time for this. I'm going to go be a star. I'm going to be fun. I'm funny. And he was. He was like, I'm talented. I can do this. I have a vision for myself. Like as a child.
Yeah.
You were like that.
Mm-hmm.
And we were all like, look at him. He's so serious. And when I tell you, Hal was focused.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. Because I was like, this is a rung in a ladder. This is not a plateau or a platform even. Like everything you're doing is a rung in the ladder to you being a better artist or more well known or whatever it takes to get, some level of success in this business, and I, like I I looked at Second City, in many ways like, okay, this is my first real toehold.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like if you're climbing a mountain and you're like, okay, I finally found a place where I can grip and I know I'm not going to slip back down. This is a real hold. And what we were able to like learn and practice there in that environment was so freeing and so. I mean, Carrie Goldenberg was our teacher, and I love Carrie. And Carrie was
Me
my first
too.
introduction to a deadhead. I'd never met one in the wild before, and he was a dyed in the wool deadhead. And the yeah,
In fact, you couldn't be in the class and
right.
succeed if you did not become a deadhead
Right. Or play the part very well. I
or play
improvised
the part.
very well. Yeah, yeah. Because that was not going to happen. I mean, you can look at me right now and go, I might look like now with my beard like I would be standing outside one of those places looking for a miracle on the road to a dead show, but or a Viking, or as my girlfriend says, an evil genius, which it works. But yeah, you had to play the part at the very least, or be musically sympathetic. But Carrie was one of those guys who he got kicked out of the touring troupe at one point because he wouldn't swear enough. I don't know if you remember that, but he wouldn't swear on stage, and yeah. And the head of the team at that point was like kind of insisting because these were nighttime shows and he was playing it clean or whatever. And the reason he did that is because we shouldn't have to. If we're in these characters and we're really being real, unless the character would swear, why would I? And in a lot of these situations, we're playing, stiff, uptight people or whatever, so they wouldn't just devolve into that for the sake of, a quick laugh. And Carrie really did teach us how to like. I think Carrie was the greatest acting teacher I've ever had because he taught you to stay in character, stay in the moment, and listen. And that's really, I mean, the rest of it's just hitting your mark and bark.
And what I didn't recognize and realize at the time, but I am so grateful, is that at the time, in a time when our brains were still forming and
Mhm.
formulating, we had a lot of exposure to neuroplasticity
Uh-huh.
and
Sure.
how to be flexible, how to think with flexibility, so that and it was a huge, huge, huge gift to be able to understand what play is and
Yeah.
bring that with me as an adult to
Yes.
everything I do.
Yeah, and not immediately edit or censor what you're doing ahead of time. We hear a lot of that talk about like don't comply in advance, right? We've heard this a lot lately, especially politically. And there's an element to that that people do when they're you know when they're trying to get ahead in their career, or they're trying to write something or start something, or you know what I mean, like all of those things. Hold on, I'm trying to add a little name box on there, and for some reason it has just vanished in this little thing. Where are you, you silly thing? But in this in this world, there's so many people who will like kind of cut you out, or make you get second guess yourself ahead of time, and you don't need any help talking yourself out of your creativity. Is Angela trying to get in? Is that her? Like,
That's
come
her.
on,
Yeah, that's you can hear her.
ding! How does this work? What do I click? Where do I go? What is this stupid? Yeah, there she is. She can see us, I bet, and she's very jealous because you're wonderful. Um,
Yes.
so the I think this has incredible value, that don't edit yourself as long as you're staying true to your task. Stop cutting yourself off at the knees right away. And that in many ways, especially in the arts, is a way of it is really the only way you can succeed, because there's no shortage of human beings who will tell you you're not good enough, you'll never make it, the odds are against you, all that stuff. Life doesn't need any help from you in that area. You don't get busy building yourself up, because the world is, the odds, the statistics, this isn't even them being mean. Some of them do it, they think out of love. They think they're doing it to support you. Don't try
Dream
this.
killers.
Right, right. But they don't,
And
they think they're
they're doing it for
saving
their
you.
own good.
Right. They're doing it for their own what?
They think that
Yeah.
they feel that they're
Yeah.
doing it for your own good.
Oh, right. Yes.
And
Yeah.
that's the reality is, and to your point where you were just talking about mentioning complying, following, what have you. Yes, we need to follow the laws. Yes, we
Yeah.
need to do all these wonderful things. But what I see in this country right now
Mm-hmm.
is a group of people coming to terms with never questioning authority, never challenging authority. And I get it from a conservative POV
Yeah.
that as a person, I've been given the structure in
Mm-hmm.
life to this is who I follow, this is what I do. But these are people for me that I am watching who have never worked on their own internal cosmology. What do I think? What are
Mm-hmm.
my values?
Sure.
And
Well, that's
am I
terrifying
living my
to
value
them.
driven life? Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Well, and again, you got, if your source of validation for your values is always external, whether it's church or authority or law and order, whatever it is, you're not going to give yourself that room. Because it's almost like you're dismissing those other things at the same time. Instead of, they can be cohorts. You can learn from the structure of your church, the structure of your upbringing to obey the law and all that kind of stuff. But you don't have to be lashed to it. And at a certain point, you shouldn't even need the laws to do it. You should. That's the other thing, is that I think part of the reason these people, and maybe not looking inward to themselves like you're talking about, they're afraid that if there weren't these structures in place, they're afraid of their own monster. Because I'm not afraid
There
of
it
my own.
is.
I'm not afraid of my own monster. I know it exists, right? Right? We all know our baser instincts, baser thoughts come up. And if you are ethical and moral and you live a decent life and you care about human beings and you have empathy and those kind of things, then those thoughts get mitigated or diluted into, okay, I do have a legit criticism here, but there's a better way to act on it. Those kind of things, instead of just, where's the hammer? And I think these people are very afraid of it. Go ahead. Yeah.
I'm not behaving out of compulsions, behaving out of, without, this is the thing that we're going to have to ask ourselves, especially in this Western society where we have access to everything. We have access to infinity,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah.
And so when we have access to infinite, whatever,
Yeah.
you do have to ask the question at some point, is this good for me? Even though I can get it.
Right.
Even though I can behave this way. Even though I can think this way. Is this good for me? Is it good for society? And
Right.
at the end of the day, what I watch a lot in our society is a group of people say, well, you can't be acting right because you're not acting from my book. You're not acting from the thing that I understand. And if I don't understand it, then it must be wrong. My mindset, and I've been told and taught that you must be incorrect if you are not following what I have been told is the one and only way to be.
Sure. Well, so it's curious to me, because I think that butts up against their self-image in terms of being Christian or Jewish or Muslim and being a very religious person, and that their behavior is driven by a fear of or a respect for the Almighty that will treat them ill after they have died. And I've always said that any orthodox religion, any religion taken to its extreme, is fundamentally diametrically opposed to democracy, because it has to be. It has. If you believe it that deeply in it, it rules your life as opposed to guides your life. Or if it's a push, not a pull, then it will be. You cannot allow for democracy. You cannot allow for other thoughts, because it specifically says that. And so, you have these folks and that I think that's the mix of sort of your Lutheran and Methodist and kind of, that crowd, the Protestant kind of softies who view it as a push, as a pull, rather, something you are pulled to by your own internal drive, as opposed to a push.
That's
It's
right.
behind you, making you behave, right? Which is how the evangelicals, and maybe it's specific to their rise. You know what I mean? That they they're they view that God is behind you, basically like punching you in the back to move forward. Whereas other people who are deeply religious, who believe the thing, are pulled by the values. This is the life I want to lead. This is the person I want to be in the world. So I'm
Being
moving towards that.
values driven
Yes.
versus being driven by dogma.
Right, right, right. Which is always fear based.
And it's all
Um,
fear based. And
yeah.
and here's my problem as an American right now is I'm caught up in other people's religious kink.
Sure. Yeah, yeah.
And I'm affected by, oh, you get kinky with God like that. That's what you believe. Okay. Okay.
Uh-huh.
But now I my life, my neighbors,
Right.
my world is affected by that kink.
Yes, right. Well, Alan Watts said that, like Christianity is the highest form of kink because nothing's kinkier than making sex dirty. And
I just discovered Alan Watts.
really?
I'd never heard of him. Yeah.
Oh wow. When I discovered him in the early 90s, when they used to play him on KPFK in Los Angeles, like late at night or whatever, and his old gravelly Buddhist smoker's voice from 1960. And clearly, look, I have a realistic view, certainly, of gurus and whatnot, or whatever. He said a lot of wisdom, a lot of stuff worth hearing, a lot of words, but he also did it smoking a cigarette in front of a bunch of girls not wearing bras in these hippie communes that he built himself. So, and by the way, more power to him, because if you're an adult and you want to join a cult and lay around smoking weed with no underwear on, who am I to say no? Right? Knock yourself out. I've never seen any of those people in their natural habitat hurt anyone. I would say the Manson family was a bastardization of that very thing. And you must be, and this is, I think, part of what's going on too, is you must be guarded. The more open-hearted your system is, you must be guarded against those who would take advantage of it, both as posers in the case of these faux Christians, or okay, the Somali thing in Minnesota. I think there's somewhere in the order of 780,000 Somali people in the United States. There are about 150 that were caught up in this thing across multiple states, and that they were coordinating this thing, which is a percentage of a percentage of a percentage of human beings, right? And yet, if Minnesota, for fear of looking racist or whatever, didn't want to look into these things and check their books because they were getting pressure from their left flank to not bug people who are largely working with asylum communities and that kind of stuff. If that drove them to not deal with it, what happens is you leave the gate open for the wolves. You go, at some point, fraud can happen. There's nothing wrong with checking. There's nothing indicative of the people you're talking about. You should be able to check everybody's numbers in the same way that you should have looked at Marjorie Taylor Greene's friggin' books, right? She paid for her
Baby,
campaign, right, with PPP
that's
loans.
right.
But she
Let
was
me
friends with
tell
the
you, let me
president,
tell you,
and she
I'm
was
here
afraid of the
for it
right
all.
flank. Right. They were afraid of the right flank. You can't go after her because the right flank will come after us, in the same way that, maybe the mayor of Minneapolis was afraid to have his people look into the books of stuff that was sketchy there because he was afraid of the left flank, what I call the crust, thinking it's the pizza. scaring everybody into just doing their regular job. And there should never be any fear of that, because if you don't, you will leave the most vulnerable amongst us up to people like, Mike Lee, who wants to eliminate all welfare programs, all social safety net stuff, including Social Security. And this is how they would do it.
Well, you know what? And what kills me is Mike Lee. If I take away your life
Yeah.
and your opportunity, then what kills me in Congress, especially in terms of, and I mean this in a general sense, white supremacy. White supremacy says, as a system, not people, as a system, says if Mike Lee puts on a suit, dresses a certain kind of way, and uses a certain kind of tonality, that what he has to say has reverence, is important.
Sure.
And what he is working from a playbook. This is not about government. This is not about policy. This is not about taking care of Americans. This isn't even about the economy. It is from a playbook that says, because here's the problem, and I was talking about this earlier, is when you look at how this country, America, treats, for example, the Black community, it is a test case. It is not simply, oh, we just don't like Black people and we're going to treat them this way. It's a test case for how they can treat the whole of America. All right?
And by extension, the world, I would think, because the Germans weren't going to stop with Poland.
Hallelujah!
Right.
Hallelujah! This is why I need everyone to understand that point. It doesn't stop. If brutality, if I sit here and watch you be brutal to another group, and I don't have a feeling, thought, or my morality doesn't say that should stop because it isn't happening to me.
No. Yeah.
You will be the next group.
Yeah. Well, and again, this is, I think, something everybody learned to expect from World War II. Eventually, the Japanese and the Germans were going to get around to each other, because there's this sort of like Highlander aspect of racism that is, there can be only one. One of, if not the greatest thing about America that I love, is that it doesn't show up on anybody's 23andMe. Is that you can you can find all kinds of shit in your 23andMe, and it's never going to say American, because it is uniquely a factor that everyone can be an American if they become a citizen and care, and care about the place.
Can they?
And want to go.
I believe that's a lie. I think you need to update your code and information, because that's a lie. What you're saying is a lie.
Dear.
That does not exist right now.
Well, okay. I would say it is in the charter of it. It is in the legal framework of it. But a bunch of voters, and I know. Well, also, I would say that there are a bunch of voters that are on our side. I don't really care about sort of driving maggots except away from the polls ultimately, because I'm not going to convince them. They voted for a pedophile, so there's nothing. I don't know how you talk somebody out of that tree, really, except by mocking them and making them go home. But on our side, ladies and gentlemen, there was a bunch of people, about 6 million of them, and not all of them white, who wouldn't vote for the lady of color last year. I voted for her, you voted for her, but there were a bunch of people, and it did not attribute to a particular sort of racial. And those people, by not participating, by not voting, voted for this. They made this choice. Right. And they rejected those people. Right. Those people.
100 million.
Right. Those people decided, you know what? Let them have it. And that's that nihilism, that lack of connection to the values that you want to see expressed in the world, and even the most minor activity, getting up off your ass on a Tuesday in November, you can't be bothered. I would argue that that is more of an active choice than a passive choice at this point. Especially if you
And
allege to believe things, you say you believe that people are equal and should be treated with humanity, and that you don't, and that you don't want the guy who thought COVID would go away when the sunlight hit it like a snot on a banister.
yeah,
You know,
here's the problem, and I completely agree with you. I completely agree with you, which is why if you hear us, Frangela, talk about it,
mm-hmm,
who we're talking about, who needs to vote. We don't. I don't think about MAGA.
mm-hmm,
That's burnt. That's dead ground. That's salted earth.
mm-hmm,
I can't bring them people back. Those 36%. They believe what they believe. But the people who didn't vote, those people,
mm-hmm,
I have compassion, I have generosity, and I have outreach towards,
mm-hmm.
because those are people whom we can affect.
Right.
Those are minds that we can bring and go, hey, I know you're disaffected, but you ain't
Mm-hmm,
crazy. You're disaffected. You believe X, Y, and Z. Let me show you
mm-hmm,
how your power has is important. Just that one vote. Let me show you. Because if you don't like what's going on right now,
mm-hmm.
you have power.
Right.
Although I do personally believe that we have lost this republic because we are right now being run by neo Nazis.
Well, certainly. I mean, you could say Germany had lost its republic as well to a much harsher extent and recovered. So I do have.
That's right.
Oops, there's a typo I realized in the name thing. I don't know why that happened. I'll fix that.
I'm
Um,
France.
you're France de le.
France.
There you go. Hold on. Think, save, fixed, and preview mode goes to hell. There you go.
Mhm.
So the this is what happens when I type and talk at the same time. So you know, you can reach out to those folks with compassion all you want to. I have decided to vote shame them because tiptoeing around these dense motherfuckers last time did not work. And the one thing I've said is that, on our side, if empathy is the thing, then that's the nerve we need to work. That if people are going to even pretend to have empathy, which I think a bunch of faux-aggressives do, I need you to do the simplest of things: vote in a primary and vote in an election. You can bitch online left and right. You can slacktivist your way. The number of people who didn't vote at all, who are saying impeach Donald Trump online for the stuff he's doing, can quite frankly go piss up a rope. And I am going to call them out and wag my finger as much as possible, because trying to guide them softly did not seem to work last time. And I do, and I do mean not seem. And so, in terms of Trump, there are some silver linings in this, because there always are. Because me, I'm a stoic optimist. We keep marching. We keep taking care of people. I don't give a shit if the weather turns against us. If there's a baby to be protected, you're gonna keep it warm and fed. That's what you do.
That's right.
And,
We go
and
forward.
that's right. And
All we know is how to survive.
that's right. And that is a gift that we have to give to other people. That is something we have to express to them, that this is all part of your survival and the survival of others. And it's such a small ask, to get people to vote, and consistently, because that's the other thing. We need to undo the.
Well,
Go ahead.
can I pump the brakes really
Sure.
quickly? Because when you say it's a small ask, and I
To
really
vote.
want
Yeah.
us to vote, right?
Yeah.
I agree, and yet it's still, here's the thing. I'm trying to invert, question, and have curiosity
Sure.
around the fact that of this difficulty for people getting to the polls
Mm-hmm.
and getting their minds focused on the polls, because I was raised
Mm-hmm.
being told, oh, this is a gift.
Mm-hmm.
People died, their blood was
Yeah.
spilled. Therefore, at 18, I couldn't wait. My child
Me
could
too.
not wait to vote.
Mm-hmm.
She makes sure at school, up at her college, she makes sure she can vote, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And that her friends are going to vote. But that is not everyone's experience.
Sure.
This our
Agreed.
education, our exposure, and this is where I have to continually say, I live in a bubble, you live in a bubble. We're not exposed to what these people think and feel on a day-to-day basis. To be so disaffected by
Mm-hmm.
the fact of you can see what's happening in this country and you feel like you have no power,
Mm-hmm.
that the vote means nothing. That is something that I think that we have to take pause and acknowledge and not gloss over and say, oh, you can go do that.
Mm-hmm. Well, okay.
Because they
Here's
don't
what I will
think
say.
that.
I know they don't think that, but they absolutely can. The material reality is if you're a citizen, you're over the age of 18, you can vote, period. And all it is a Tuesday in November. And maybe a vote in the spring if you give a shit about party politics, but you absolutely don't. You really only have to do it once every 2 years. And for all the things that this country that gives you in terms of protections of your rights and can take away from your rights if you don't do it, that it is such a small ask. A Tuesday afternoon in November every 2 years. That's all. And talk about
You should
people in
have the day
Iran.
off.
Yeah. Oh, that's the totally agree. Should be a national holiday. Absolutely. And I think take any um, president, civil rights leader, national holiday that isn't a religious holiday or Halloween or something like that, or some school and just swap it out. If they don't want to add another one, it's the most important. Every other year, we one of those. So we can even rotate it. Today is National Voting Day and MLK Day. Today is National Voting Day and Abraham Lincoln's. It's President's Day and the second. I mean, the President's Day should be the second week in November every year, because that's who you're voting for. That's the party. That's so that when I'm president, that's what I'll sign off on. We'll make that shift. But the point I'm trying to make is that I want to remind everybody what a small ask it is, so they don't talk themselves out of something that's a very simple activity. Because you're not talking about trying to get them to the goddamn gym on the regular. We're not trying to get you to fucking eat your broccoli every day, twice a day, or whatever the shit. Right? It's 2 years till the next Tuesday. You're gonna be bothered by this, and maybe there's some middle ones for your town. If you give a shit about your city, maybe vote for the mayor if it's an off year, that kind of stuff.
You know what? And how? And I just heard something that came through what you just said.
Mm-hmm.
And what you're saying is, and this is a really important point, how can we get people to care about themselves and their lives?
Right, right, right.
Because I'm trying to get to the root of what is it that people believe that why they can't or aren't showing up. They think it's all, well, you have a president who has been saying for a decade now,
Mm-hmm.
this is fixed, it is rigged.
Right.
There is no reason for you to even show up here, because
Mm-hmm.
every time you try to show up, there are people over here. Either I'm calling them or the Democrats are calling them to cheat.
Right. Yeah. But so
Don't trust
uh,
the system.
right. I agree. But you and I both know too. I have a lot of faith in the average person. I just spent My dad passed away in November, and I just spent a month
I'm
hospicing
sorry.
with
Can
him
I
in
just say I'm
Kentucky.
sorry too?
Yeah, thank you. You met him a couple times, and he. So I was in Kentucky that whole time, and I was dealing with not just my family members that are variant in that area, and people would come by, and his friends who are across the political spectrum, um, you know, um, and people who were in that area, that region of the world, northern Kentucky, Cincinnati area, all the way down to Frankfurt and Louisville when I was down and around there. And you get digging in, and there's a lot of thinking stupid people out there. There are a lot of people who you are talking. You're talking to somebody who has absolutely the cognitive ability to understand what you're saying. They're either just egotistical or bullheaded about what they believe, or afraid to experience something else, whatever it is. But they're not incapable of understanding. And he can feed them that bullshit forever. Like he can say that the affordability is a hoax, and so is the Epstein files. But I gotta say, there has been a shift that I've seen amongst a bunch of folks, where that seems to be the last straw for them on the MAGA side. And like I said, you and I, don't by any means expect them to come around, but they damn sure might stay home. And I don't, I've said on here a bunch of times, we don't need them to see the light. We just need them to see the lie. And in this particular instance, there are a bunch of them that they're waking up to the fact that they were sold a bill of goods, and their own ego, their own fear of being seen as a sucker makes them defend him all the time. And that's the only thing hanging on. And I have on Doc Adam Allen a few times, and I don't know if you've seen him on my show, but he works in geriatric medicine, and he deals with patients who are dealing with dementia. And the first time I had him on the show, he gave Trump 3 to 5 months to live. And that was just like a month and a half ago. This is a man on
I
a
believe
hard
it.
fade. Yep. This is a man on a hard fade. So the
Listen,
question for
my
you, yeah,
father had a
go ahead.
stroke.
Mm-hmm.
My dad had a stroke. I know stroke victims, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I've lived and taken care of for years somebody who had a stroke and had on the right side of their body completely paralyzed. I
Yep.
know what the gait looks like. I know what the holding of the hands looks like.
Yep.
I know because it becomes you're so used to it, it
Yeah.
becomes second nature when you can spot it. From and I didn't need to see this part of his mouth of his facial muscles limp.
Right.
Okay, you can. I'm not a doctor,
Yeah.
and I know.
Yes. You can tell. Right. So here's the
You know,
so the question is, and this is really like where the future lies in this circumstance, is that when Hitler took back over Germany, he was, I want to say, somewhere between 38 and 40, somewhere around that age range, and he was dead a few years later. And people often said he had Parkinson's when it was really just Pervitin. He was just using drugs so heavily that he wrecked himself.
he would lose 4 pounds of speech. He was so hyped up
Yeah.
and sweating and a fiend.
He had that hand going all the time, like anytime they show video of him or whatever. And there's so many parallels, except Trump is going to be 80.
That's right.
And has never been in good health, and he eats nothing but fish, as he says. He went to McDonald's and gets the fish, which again was a sign that he can't find the words he needs to sometimes. Yesterday, he gave that speech for his Board of Peace, which bored everybody to tears, where he was just barely awake during the whole thing, and then made Caroline Levitt say all the foreign names so that he didn't have to try and say them. And then she whiffed it. She didn't even do it. She just called their titles and called it a day, because you could say the countries but not their names, because because he hires idiots just like him. So what I'm saying
That's
is
right.
they're running out of runway. And the question for you is, does this movement survive without Donald Trump? By the way, I'm sorry Angela's having trouble getting on. We love her, and hopefully we'll remedy it. But you know, if we don't, it's lovely just having Frances on. Frances is part of Frangela comedy duo. Please check them out, follow them, listen when they're ever on Steph's, and hopefully you and I will be able to talk Steph into some midterm shows because we got to do this.
You know what?
Yeah.
This is for me. Doing those shows is not for me.
Mm-hmm.
Doing those shows are about invigorating us in a total, you know.
Yeah.
As it's my way of wafting energy into the space so that we can all agree that here we are in this time and place, and we recognize this BS.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And
yeah. You're not crazy. Community. This is real. Yes.
You're not crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm here for that. I'm here for you, and I'm a conduit for your sanity.
Yes. The and so many people say that to us after the show. You know, a lot of them, you know, they talk about how, like, you know, they feel like they're kind of alone and yelling at their screens, you know, and then they come to the show and they feel that much better. And I've always said this is why I've never had a bad show in my life, is because I believe there's no such thing as a tough crowd. The tough crowds are the ones that need to laugh the most. That's your and so any comic saying there's a tough crowd, it's like a massage therapist going, I can't do anything, you're too tense. You're like, shut up and get to rubbing, dummy. I'm knotted up and I'm in pain here, right? And that's where, you know, sometimes the more egregious this stuff gets, the more you can find an audience that like that, which is why they need to let off that steam, and because comedy is inherently hopeful. That's what its nature is. It's what it's raison d'etre is. It's there will be a tomorrow. Even the most nihilistic, angry comedy still is based on we can laugh tonight because there will be a dawn. And, you know, and I've always been, you know, I've been thinking about Minneapolis a lot lately because it's so much in the news, but that city exists because of Prince to me. And when he died, when he died, I was just wrecked. And we went, I was there doing stand up. And I was there the weekend he died, and then the next weekend when they had the thing, I was there as well. I was booked in the city and then out at one of the casinos far outside of town. So I drove in anyways, because you drive by Paisley Park and you're like, I love that place. Anyways, they had brought the piano from outside of First Avenue and put it on the street. And it was just sitting there, and everybody was just kind of like looking at it, the upright that was there that they would use. And the only thing I can play on it is Purple Rain. So I sat down and played Purple Rain on that piano, and the crowd sang, and it was just really lovely. And I was like, this is what art is for. This is what music is for in all its forms, is a reminder that there will be a tomorrow. And that is an invaluable tool when the goal of your opponent, especially in terms of the Trump crowd, is the world as you know it is over. That's really what they're saying in almost every sense. That's what they're trying to make you feel like. They want you to feel like.
I just feel like they have crushed. Let me tell you, I'm on a call oftentimes, you know, talking about with Black women, you know, almost 500,000.
You and me both. Sorry,
I know. Have lost their jobs in last year, and that was because we had a president of the United States that said, "Go into your system, into your company, and fire every black woman you can find, black people, right?
Yep.
Then we're going to go hunting for Latinos in this country. And next, we're going to shoot white women in the face."
Well,
they're in their heyday.
Yep. And that's why I was saying, like, that's why I'm so aggravated and why I will be vote shaming everybody in this situation, because it is not like he didn't say this was exactly the plan.
The plan.
Okay, this was not. There's no mystery here. We didn't elect Jimmy Carter and he turned into Nixon, right? That's not what happened here. We did not, elect Roosevelt and he turned into Jackson. He said what he was going to do. He was more belligerent and disrespectful and grotesque. He's only had two friends in his whole life, Jeffrey Epstein and Roy Cohn, and they're both dead pedophiles. Well, I'm not so sure about if Jeff is dead. I think Jeffrey Epstein is alive and living on an island someplace, and it cost him $1 billion to get out of jail, but it was worth every penny. And I think he got a nose
I'll go
job and a
there.
chin job. Yeah, I like
Yep.
if I
I'll
have
go
no
there.
control over this, if I have no control over the circumstance and I'm just spitballing what seems to be the most logical conclusion, anybody who pays the Russians $1 billion while they're in jail and then is suddenly taken out in the most mysterious and opaque way ever, that dude's bunking with Assad right now.
Yeah.
So, but either way, and by the way, there's Frangela's Patreon is up on the screen right now for you guys if you want to support Frangela and add them to your circle of support. And this is as an ongoing thing. Like, what do you? I mean, I keep thinking of like questions, but it seems so obvious to me. But for you, what is going to be your main thing this year leading up to the midterms and kind of like your goal strategy, like what you're doing, how you're gonna approach this to get the numbers we need, because that's the only thing that is going to move the needle. The only thing. We need more Democrats in Senate seats, and in the House, period. That's the only thing that's going to move this.
Right. First of all, I think that as you were saying, the rest of America is waking up to that point.
Yes.
And I believe that articulating that information,
yes,
as much continuously, and because here's the thing: if we have a vision and make it plain, like the Bible says, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Make it plain. Make that vision plain. What is the plain vision? The plain vision is we need to get more people who care about policies for people like us. Because right now, our country is run by corporations and billionaires. And they've taken off the mask and said, we no longer feel that we need to go out and regime change, call for regime change, anything with a mask on. Okay? We're just going to go and take what we want. We're going to take the oil we want. We're going to take the minerals that any country has that we want. We're going to reset the financial system
right
to cryptocurrency as we want.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? We're going to make sure that women can't, we're trying our best to make sure women can't vote, don't have any bodily autonomy. We're going to do all of these things because, and for me, we need to make sure that people understand that is the focus. That everything you want to think of as written in the Constitution, your rights, laws. Right now we have a group, we have a militia loose in the country that is kicking down doors and doesn't need to have a judge or anybody to say, yeah, you can go in there. They can drag your ass out. And if they can do it to them, they're going to do it to you as soon as possible.
Well, okay. There's a couple things. One is I would only pump the brakes on the thing about they don't need anything. I would say they know they need something and they got it from Pam Bondi. That since they are a federal force looking for people who are violating federal law, they have given themselves a pass. They are using the system as it exists in a way that because there are no safeguards in some of these areas because they thought sensible people would ultimately be running because people wouldn't make this egregious a mistake and elect somebody like Donald Trump. And now we've learned better. We obviously need more guide posts and more fencing on the president. than we realized we had and we needed, even after Iran-Contra, even after Halliburton contracts in Iraq somehow. And this is the part that I find slightly curiously hopeful, but for the part that you mentioned about women's bodily autonomy, everything you said in that last wonderful rant sounds exactly like what Nick Fuentes is saying on the right.
I know, which scares the living crap out of me.
Fucking nuts, right? And that's because it has gotten so egregious amongst the Palantir, David Sachs, all the people that Trump is bringing in. It's so egregious, even those people are noticing. That's how extreme it has become. That there is no. Yeah.
Makes me go, and why is Charlie Kirk dead?
Right. Sure.
Because I believe, and this is my own feeling, sure, I believe somebody on that side killed him, right? Because he started asking questions they didn't like him asking about money, about Israel, about this, about that. And they were like, you know what? You will do better as a martyr for us.
Channeling her own Candace Owens there, Francis. Yeah. Well, that's the story and here's what I will say. When your currency is entirely paranoia, distrust, disregard, lack of empathy for your fellow human beings, it's like all the hate someone has is only felt by themselves. You are everyone, whether, until you act on it and it drives you to some sort of behavior, whether it's doing something awful or doing your regular duty and voting, until you take action based on your emotions, you're the only one that feels them. The hate boiling inside of you doesn't leave your body. You might think it does. You might think it's a spell you're casting on the other person, but it's not. It's a spell you cast on yourself. And they want you to feel that way. They want you to feel like all balled up and angry and all that kind of stuff, or whatever, because they know it's impotent and it goes nowhere. And it eats your life. It doesn't eat their life at all. All the hate we all feel for Donald Trump or whatever doesn't leave our skin.
Oh, come on. You know what? That's my daily prayer. My daily prayer is, may I be released. Hallelujah. Come from up under these feelings, these intense feelings I have for these people, because I recognize that is me being shackled in my own hell.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, one of the only ways you can free yourself of that, really, have it make any meaning, because it doesn't mean your feelings are wrong in these situations when they do come up. But the only way you can truly release them is to take some action that contributes in a way that does not violate that way and create a situation where someone else would feel the same way about you. And all you've got to do is vote, participate in some charity, continue to live your life as fully and as lovingly with the people around you as you possibly can. And that is the biggest enemy. That's the thing they can't take away. That's the thing that they can't usurp from you, no matter what. And they know this because they don't have any of it. They don't have that. Donald, when, I've talked about this, but when my dad was dying, he was having blood pool in his ankles the same way Trump is, because your heart starts to shut down when your kidneys are decimated. And I would sit at his feet and I would rub when I showed up to start hospital, his feet looked like balloons. And I massaged his feet every day to get them back to looking like feet and keep his circulation going. And I would get up in the morning when he was out in his chair, and we'd have breakfast or whatever, and I would rub his ankles and his feet, partly because he said it felt good and it made him feel good, and that makes me feel good, but also because it was helping him survive. There is no one in the White House, even a medical professional, who is doing that for Donald Trump right now, nor would he he wouldn't even be able to appreciate it if they did, because his ego is so on the line, because it points to his imperfection and all that kind of stuff. He will never experience that.
Well,
Never.
when I was watching, it was really interesting yesterday watching Jack Smith and them introduce him as in the introduction, talking
Right.
about that this man is a triathlete. He does
Yes.
triathlons. He
Yeah.
does Ironman competitions. Has done over 100. And what they were saying in that, and when you looked at him in his humble suit.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't come in with a brand new suit. He came in with the suit. You could tell because you could see the dry cleaning marks around the lapel.
That's right.
Okay?
Yeah.
He showed up, and what they made sure you understood that this is a man of discipline.
Yes. Yes.
Donald Trump is not a man of discipline.
Mm-mm.
When you talk about, he has never, and this is the other part about it. People voted for a rapist to come and rape the country.
Right.
He is what he is.
Yeah. And he will never not be.
And he will never not be. Above, so below, within, so without. Mm-hmm. That is who he is. He's a rapist. He's a child rapist on top of that. Allegedly.
Allegedly. Yes, exactly. But yes. And so again, that goes to our, like, what we'd call the basket of deplorables, what Hillary Clinton called the basket of deplorables, when she was being mitigatory towards other Republicans. She was saying you can have humility and reach out to people who differ from you politically, who just disagree with you on policy and how they think, you can't be all gas and no brakes. You could argue that liberalism is gas and conservatism is brakes, and to function a car, you need both, obviously. And who's steering matters also. Who you give the wheel to matters, but you can have all of those things for a functioning vehicle that it can operate without driving through a playground. In this particular case, though, these people have given away the illusion of any moral standing that they have for this guy, this man. And they're going to live with that scar forever. And they know it. Increasingly, they know it. And they only know it because he's ultimately, as much as it seems like he's winning everywhere, he's failing. His poll numbers are the worst they've ever been, even worse than they were in the first term. His economic numbers are terrible. We're entering a stage of stagflation. There's an oil glut that's the only thing keeping him afloat. And I called it in 24, and everybody, nobody listened, but I was like, no, it doesn't matter who's president. There's going to be an oil glut because they're making too much. And he's going to drill, baby, drill. Please.
Here's my question about him losing. Does it matter? I really think we have to ask that question. Does it matter to a dictator whether his numbers are good or bad? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to a dictator whether we love him or not. He'd like it. His ego would love it.
Right.
But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that people are in the streets in Minnesota. They're willing to they're training people up in Alaska right now to come and oppress people in Minnesota. It doesn't, this is why I keep on saying we have to update who we are and how we think in this country to where we are. I feel like we're operating in the Constitution, and these people are operating outside of the Constitution.
I agree.
Okay,
I agree, but I'm going to, as I always do, happy clappy, infuse my optimism into the situation, because it is absolutely in my experience, and I watch more of this dipshit than anybody but somebody who lives with him in the White House, and I will tell you that it is having an impact, and that part of his constant talk about we're the hottest country in the world and all that kind of stuff is his yammering defensiveness, because he sees the numbers whether he wants to look at them or not. And the people around him do not like doing the job of trying to, fix things that he has set in motion. Scott Besson's whole job right now is putting toothpaste back in a tube. That's his whole thing. Like every day he just gets them, just like scooping shit back into the asshole, just like get it back in there. And that's his gig every day. And you can tell he hates it. And he knows he has such contempt for Trump that grows day by day, just like Rex Tillerson, just like Bill Barr, just like all the people around him or even Mike Pence, who eventually came to go. The more these people are around him, the more they know he's an ineffective idiot and a dangerous criminal, and that he only cares about himself. He doesn't even care about his kids. So, but I will say that I hear this stuff all the time, and I will always push back on this, that he's a malignant narcissist. Well, as a narcissist, and I think having Francis on to attribute to the fact that this is a character trait I've had since high school, and beyond, as somebody who genuinely loves themselves, and could absolutely drown falling into a river looking at my own reflection, I will say I think he has malignant low self-esteem. I think he hates his fucking reflection. I think he knows that no woman in their right mind would fuck him if he wasn't rich. He knows it.
Oh God,
here's
the thing. That's why he got to the point where he's like, just snatch it. Just snatch it.
Right. Well, you know what I've said. Like, if you got any game at all, you don't have to snatch it. You play your cards right. It'll land on your hand like a dove. Just
exactly. Right. You know what? Let me tell you something. My man don't gotta snatch nothing. I'm coming running.
That's right. And that has never happened to him. And the only time it has is when there was money involved. And that's why he thinks women fall into two categories, whores and monsters. Because the monsters can see through his mask, and the women who can see through his mask but will have sex with him anyways only do it for his money, so they must be whores. That's it. All women. That's why he detests women entirely. And he's not attracted to women of color. And so he views them all as being able to see through his mask. They're all monsters. No amount of money. Doesn't matter if it's Halle Berry or Lena Horne or somebody like that. Wouldn't matter.
Low IQ too.
Right. Well, because you've got to dismiss their contribution to the conversation, because if you listen to them, they'll tell you the truth about him. And so they've got you dismiss somebody as stupid because you don't want people to listen to them, because specifically that reason. So, it's like, so I thank you for, by the way, we're nearing the end of the show and we went a little bit over, and I'm totally fine with that. I just want to thank you for being on and remind everybody to go to frangela.com and support Francis and Angela on their Patreon, and check out their blogs and posts and shows and everything. So I wanted to throw that in there.
Thank you.
Your final thoughts on and I want to be on the road with you again so bad. So we have to find a way to make this happen by hook or by crook.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. My final thoughts are, we as humans are some of the most powerful forces on this earth.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And anything that is done, that is created, can be uncreated.
Mm-hmm.
We can also be, but above that, we can now, if they can take off the mask, we can too. And in a loving way, we can show who we really are.
Mm-hmm.
And in that way, we can have a vision. Now is the time to create a better vision for America, a stronger vision, stronger laws, stronger policies, more ideas. If we see that an immigrant can come to this country and have their lives taken from them, we got to figure that out.
Mm-hmm.
We got to figure out how we really do support our farmers without having to bail them out. We need to figure out what is our connection to our European partners.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? How we plan to stand. We have to figure out if we are really about regime change in this country or other countries, or do we respect sovereign countries and leave them alone, no matter how small or what they got in their pockets. We don't go and rape them.
Right.
So to me, I think that these are questions we need to answer as a country in really over these next months before this next election.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Yeah.
then our values will lead us to where we're going and it will give us direction versus sitting around going, I don't like that. I don't want that. You
Mm-hmm.
know,
Waiting to be
what
pushed
do you
instead
want?
of finding what pulls you. Don't wait to be pushed. Find what pulls you. Because it's so
Absolutely.
crucial. Because that's what makes you, to your point, the version of yourself that really exist out in the real world. You are pulled by your values, not pushed by somebody else, like motivated. Like, I need a candidate to excite me or something. Like, that shouldn't even be part of anybody's vocabulary.
Thank you.
That's
Thank
absurd.
you.
No, you vote your values. Seek it out and go, what will best express my values in the choices that are genuinely in front of me, not some sort of fantastical, if it's not a utopia, if I don't get everything, nobody gets anything, is an expression of values that is more in line with Stephen Miller than anybody
That's
else.
right. That's right. That's right.
So you are a
Oh,
wonderful
Hal,
human
thank
being,
you.
Francis. Let me tell you. Let me tell you what a wonderful person Francis Collier is. And it was a joy to share a stage with you. I posted a picture on Instagram a while back that I found of the two of us on stage, you and me and Dan and Matt Dwyer and all that crowd. And it just made me so happy to remember our time on stage together. I almost feel like as part of you and I should just do improv at one of these things. We'll just set up
We
an improv
should. We
moment.
should do. We should go and get a suggestion,
That's
Hal.
right. That's right. As a special addendum, we'll go, or you know, how, like some bands do karaoke, or like Prince used to go to a club afterwards and play all night long. We should find a little like bar next door, and we'll just do improv after the Sexy Liberal show. I'm for it.
Anytime.
I'm real.
Anytime.
I'm for it. Okay, it's a beautiful thing. Thank you for being on today. I'm sorry, Angela had trouble getting through. We will get her on next time, but you guys got to come back as a pair as well, and we'll talk about more of this because, like I said, this is about getting people to express what in reality, in the real world, in this world of like AI and virtual everything and online and slacktivism. What are you doing? What do you do with your time and your life? And are you doing everything that's in your power that that doesn't cost you? That's what the value is. Like some people will go beyond and do stuff even if it costs them, and that's great. But if you don't have to, you can just do stuff that does good and it costs you nothing. If it's a zero sum, then you have a moral and ethical responsibility to do it that you cannot shake, and you will live with the guilt of having not done it for your entire life, especially when the choices are this stark. Right? All right. Love you very much. You're so wonderful. I'll let
Love
you go.
you.
Francis Collier, everybody. It's such a joy to have you on, and I will see you very, very soon. Hopefully in person, sooner than I think. And yeah, and we'll get
On
this done.
stage.
Yes, on stage, absolutely. All right. Bye bye. See you later. There she goes, ladies and gentlemen. Francis Collier, the one and only, the lovely. Such a joy. And I'm sorry Angela couldn't get on. I don't know what the problem was where she is, but we'll work it out for her next time. Um, but yeah. Appreciate you guys too. Time waits for no one. Bye, Francis. Turning the Titanic. Yeah, it takes time. Right. America is a giant cruise ship slash battle cruiser. It's Francis. IS. Um, but like I was typing and talking at the same time, and it auto filled. So that was my bad. I didn't consider the autofill problem while I was doing it, and I was too busy talking. We were having too much fun. So yeah. And then let's see. Jennifer says, I'm so ready for a turning point. I can't stand it. Well, we are at that inflection point. We are. The difference isn't that things aren't turning. The difference is that we have limited situations where we can have an impact directly. Okay. Oh yeah, Boston Brian Reed, that'd be great. Yes. So it is up to us, folks, um, to vote, to be involved in the primaries, to take care of people, and to do the best we can in the face of all this stuff. So that and again, everybody has been, kind of worried about vote shaming and whatnot from yours truly, and I get a lot of pushback about that. I don't care. I love people too much to assume that they're doing something out of weakness. Some people are just being fucking stupid, and I'm going to bring it up to them because I believe that people would rather not be fucking stupid. Period. I do this. I vote shame because I believe people have agency and a working brain. If I didn't, I wouldn't vote shame somebody. I would not like it. You. It's like if somebody had a physical handicap, you wouldn't argue with them about why they weren't dancing or moving around or as swiftly as you or couldn't hurry up or whatever, right? If somebody has a busted leg, you're not going to go hurry up. Like that's awful because they can't. You be sweet with that person. But if you believe somebody is intentionally dragging their feet and making it harder for everybody else because they're being lazy or weak or what have you, on purpose, because they are being self-involved, that's you can call them out for that because it is a direct you are respecting in that moment their agency and capability. Yeah. That's what matters. If I'm making fun of somebody, it's because I believe they're a whole person. If I'm mocking somebody, even when I'm shitting on maggots and making fun of the hosts of those shows, it's because I think in my heart of hearts they could do better. And it's not because I think they want to or I think morally they're inclined to. It's because I know they have at least a functional brain in the job that they are doing that could pass for being useful to look at the evidence and behave differently. If I didn't believe that, I wouldn't make fun of them. I would pity them. There are some hosts that I'm like that say the same stupid shit that some of the other hosts say, but I gotta tell you, I feel with some of those folks like I am making fun of a mentally challenged person for real. If I talk about them, I don't think they're all there, so I don't cover them. I don't do clips about them on the show because I don't think there's any change to be had. I think they're permanently stuck in that. So let me tell you something. You should be like either impressed or grateful if I'm mocking you to your face because at least I'm seeing the potential for humanity and intelligence from you. How's that? If I'm vote shaming you, it's because I think you still have a heart and a conscience and it can work. I'm not going to waste my time vote shaming somebody who can't be reached. Glenn Beck knows he's leading Bro Dude Jeep. Yeah, I think he's a liar. That's why I call him out. Tucker Carlson, same way. Tucker Carlson is everything he says is for sale. He's a like he's a shyster, used cars / insurance salesman. He's needle nose Ned the head, Case Western High. He knows he's full of shit, but he knows it makes him money and it works, so he doesn't care. That's what I'm mocking, not like he's missing a chip in his head. There was a story of this man named Cage who got a railroad. It was in an accident and got a railroad spike stuck in his head. And before that happened, he was a very nice guy. And after that, he was a drinker and he was angry, and it would fly off the handle. Now, clearly, he had prefrontal cortex damage, and it affected his ability to govern his impulses and stuff. But judging that guy, would be wrong. He's clearly mentally incapacitated by an injury. Somebody with CTE, for example. In some ways, the only exception I make is Donald Trump, because he and everyone he has hired insists he's in perfect health. It's like Kozar, or in Arizona, who clearly is gacked up on his own homemade version of Pervitin, and everybody thought for a while that he had Parkinson's or something else. He's become a non-issue lately because nobody wants to put him on camera because it was making them look bad. But his fidget, he says he's completely healthy, and more than likely it's because of his insistence on continuing to use a mix of God knows what kind of drugs that have sort of wrecked him. He's living in a house he built and chose to live there. And in the case of Donald Trump, he's on a fade, but he's always been awful. It's just it's bringing it closer to the surface. He didn't have a touch of dementia when he was buddying around with Jeffrey Epstein. So, anyways, that's, I believe in, I don't believe in making fun of someone for things they cannot change. And the only exception I will make is if the person says they could change, because I will believe them. I will give you as much, a rope as you pull for yourself, I guess. Hal said rectum, simmer down. Yeah, that guy's on some seriously neurological tripping stuff. Yeah, he's clearly on the hard stuff. If he doesn't have, by the way, if he doesn't have whatever disease that is doing this to him, which he lies and says, and so even in that context, he's a liar in a system where he shouldn't have to be. In the same way that, like, Lindsey Graham, if I make fun of Lindsey Graham or JD Vance for being gay, it's not for them being gay. It's for them being a hypocrite in a world where they could be open and out, but they've chosen to stay in the closet and harm other people. That's about their character, not their sexual orientation. And I know it, irritates them how, like, we don't care, but the people around them flip out about it all the time. So, if I am vote shaming someone, it's because I believe in their moral potential and their intellectual potential. I have hope for them. No matter how dismissive my language seems, it is rooted in the idea that you could do better. If you can't do better, I'm not going to expect anything from you. Because that would be cruel on my part. That would be, to use the parlance of our time, that would be me being ableist. And I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to yell, hurry up, to somebody in a wheelchair or who's blind and trying to cross the street. Because that would be ableist. You respect the circumstance that they are in so that the rest of them, as a human being, can show up. You don't expect from people what doesn't exist, so that what does exist has a chance to flourish. If they're carrying around the stress of these assholes, they're always yelling at me, about stuff that I can't help, then how are they to expand and be their best selves in the areas where they are not limited? Does that make sense? Does that make sense to everybody? Are we clear on this? And I'm not just biding time until we raid Boston Brian. And have we done that yet, or are we ready to do that? CSL, we good? Let me know. YouTube is now preset to rate him. Okay, excellent. Let's jump over there. I'll let you guys go, and I'll talk to you later. Take care of yourselves and take care of somebody else. Oh, hold on. I have to do my end screen. That's just not right. I can't just... Hold on. This is the wrong one. Here we go. Dink. There we go. Where is it? Oh, it's here.